Every piece of chicken on your plate hides a thrilling story of a nation's fight for survival. This is a war without smoke, but one that is quietly reshaping the dinner tables of 1.4 billion people. When a crisis of dependence meets hardcore technology, who do you think will win in the end? Today, we're going to talk about something you encounter almost every day, but have probably never considered the profound depths of: the chicken you eat. This story starts with your fried chicken sandwich, your takeout order, and that chicken breast you eat after a workout. Have you ever noticed that while the price of pork seems to be on a permanent roller coaster, the price of chicken has remained remarkably stable, affordable, and dependable? It's the quiet, reliable understudy in the world of protein. Whether you make $3,000 a month or $30,000, chicken is always there for you. We talk a lot about the consumer upgrade in China, how we've moved from simply eating to be full to eating well, and now to eating healthy. The data backs this up. Our intake of protein, fat, and carbohydrates is now approaching the levels of developed countries. This is a good thing. Decades ago, our grandparents remember tables dominated by the old trio: potatoes, radishes, and cabbage. The ultimate dream was to eat white bread every day. But now, our dinner plates have changed. Meat, eggs, and milk are the new protagonists. And in this story, one of the main characters is a bird called the white-feathered chicken. This chicken is the undisputed king of efficiency. It's covered in white feathers, it grows incredibly fast, and it eats very little. How fast? It can reach a market weight of 2.8 kilograms in just 42 days. For every 1.6 pounds of feed, it gains a pound of meat. This insane growth rate and feed conversion ratio make it astonishingly cheap. It's this extreme cost effectiveness that allows KFC and McDonald's to sell fried chicken across the entire country and allows ordinary families to keep their freezers stocked. And do you know how many of these chickens we eat in a year? The number is staggering, nearly 7.2 billion. That's more than 200 chickens being served up every single second. 6 out of every 10 chickens eaten in China are this specific type. But until just a few years ago, this colossal, almost terrifyingly large industry had a fatal flaw, a true Achilles heel. We could raise more chickens than anyone else in the world. We could cook them in 1,000 different ways. But the one thing we could not do was create the chickens that create these chickens. The grandparent stock, the source of the entire breed, was 100% reliant on foreign imports. What does that mean? Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you are the world's largest smartphone assembly factory. Your production lines are humming, you have more orders than you can handle, but every single microchip has to be bought from one company in America. If they're in a good mood, they sell to you, and you have work. If they're in a bad mood or they just want to squeeze you for more money, they can cut off your supply. Your entire factory grinds to a halt. The profit, the real power, always belongs to the one who sells the chips. For decades, in the business of chicken, China was that assembly factory. You might think, it's just a chicken. Is it really that serious? It is deadly serious. Food security is not just a slogan. It is the sword of Damocles hanging over the head of every major nation. Pork is our number one meat, but it's volatile. We all remember the African swine flu outbreak a few years ago, when pork prices shot to the moon. In a crisis like that, what steps in? Chicken. If one of your two main sources of protein is completely controlled by outside forces, how can you ever sleep soundly at night? For years, we paid a premium to a few foreign megacorporations for these golden grandparent chickens, and they didn't even sell us their best stuff. It was like they were selling us the second volume of a secret martial arts manual, but keeping the first, most crucial volume for themselves. And they had built a technological fortress around this business over a century. Breeding these super chickens is an incredibly complex science. You need them to grow fast, eat little, resist disease, and have a large breast muscle. It's the hyperachiever, the decathlete of the chicken world. It requires decades of investment, billions of dollars, and a deep understanding of genetics, nutrition, and data science. They had already built an aircraft carrier fleet. We were still trying to figure out how to build a rowboat. For a long, long time, we were trapped. The price of an imported chick went from $5 to $40. And our supply chain was fragile. An outbreak of bird flu in the US or France could mean our supply was instantly cut off, costing our domestic industry billions. It was a dangerous and deeply uncomfortable position to be in.
So you might ask, we've built our own space station, how can we not figure out a chicken? That's the right question. It was hard, but it had to be done, because we all understand a fundamental truth. Core technology cannot be bought, begged, or borrowed. And so a quiet war for chicken independence began. Early attempts in the 1980s failed, but in 2009, the fight was reignited. This war had no press conferences, no celebrity CEOs. Its heroes were a group of agricultural scientists and breeding experts, whose names you will never know. They faced a century-old technological wall. They had to map the chicken's genome from scratch. They had to painstakingly select the chosen ones from hundreds of thousands of birds, generation after generation. It's a process that takes years, filled with trial and error. But they persevered, and finally, in December of 2021, a breakthrough. The government officially certified China's first ever domestically bred white-feathered chicken varieties. This was our Made in China microchip moment. And these homegrown chickens are not inferior. They meet or even exceed the performance of their international rivals. And today, the latest data shows that the market share of these domestic breeds has gone from 0 to over 28%. Do not underestimate that number. 28% is not just a statistic. It represents our transformation from being a mere customer to being a player at the table. It gives us bargaining power. It gives us a security buffer against global uncertainty. And even better, our breeders understand the Chinese palate. Foreign breeds are all about the breast meat, but Chinese people love chicken feet and wings. Our new breeds have been specifically selected for larger feet and wings, creating billions in extra value for the industry. We are even starting to export our breeding stock to countries like Tanzania and Pakistan. This comeback story is about more than just a chicken. It's about our nation's entire relationship with food. It is the manifestation of the grand food concept, diversifying our food sources through technology, not just relying on farmland. The national plan is to have domestic breeds capture over 60% of the market share by 2035. So you see, behind something as simple as a piece of chicken is a story of national strategy, technological competition, and the well-being of a people. The journey from eating to be full to eating healthy requires a supply chain that is stable, secure, and affordable. And that is only possible when you control the switch at the very top. The next time you're eating a piece of fried chicken or a chicken salad, I want you to remember this story. Every bite you take is part of an epic saga of a nation's fight for self-reliance. There are no flashy slogans here, just the quiet, persistent work of generations of scientists. Their simple yet magnificent achievement is to ensure that the dinner tables of 1.4 billion people will always remain unshaken by the storms of the world. That perhaps is the true face of a great nation's power. It isn't always in the headlines. It's hidden in plain sight, in the humble chicken, in the simple, steaming, everyday meals that sustain us all. As a poet of our times might write, the old dinner plates, with so little to see, a chokehold on breeding for the nation's decree. But science and patience broke the fortress wall down. A homegrown new champion now wears the crown. A decade of focus, a sword sharpened bright, the market share surges, a beautiful sight. The wings are now larger, the flavor just right. The price at the table, now stable and light. The future is held in our steady hand, a healthier China across this great land. That is all for this episode. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.